Hey, I'm Cam Stoker. I've started multiple companies, including my own video game studio. I've consulted hundreds of businesses. I've got a master's in business creation, and I've grown a YouTube channel past 100,000 subscribers. I still have a ton more to learn, but I want to share today what I know about marketing. Not to mention, I'll have Jonas Tyroller share some tips from his own experience marketing his game, as well as Chris Zukowski, who specializes on Steam marketing. But the problem I have about answering the question, how do I market my game, is the word marketing. You don't actually want to market your game, right? You want people to buy and enjoy your game. And to be honest, the word marketing is kind of dirty. Most of us, we don't like it. It evokes trickery or lying, right? When we think of marketing, we think of how these big companies manipulate us with these trailers and these cinematics. Just executives pumping out expensive marketing material to trick us into buying something we're not going to enjoy. So I don't want to just answer the question, how do I market my game? I want to help you understand how to market, how to build, and how to sell something people will want to tell their friends about. I want you to be able to take the amazing game you are building and know how to share it with everyone that'll care. And there's 4 steps. You need to get people aware, to care, to buy, and to share. And you know it's good because it rhymes. Aware, care, buy, share. Each stage is critical for success. And if you fail at any step along that path, your game will not reach its full potential. So, step 1, you need to figure out how to get people aware of your game. Before anything else, people need to know it exists. This is the most obvious step of the 4, and people usually conflate marketing with awareness, right? Thinking if I can just get a YouTuber or a streamer or some kind of blog to talk about my game, it'll sell like hotcakes. That's wrong. You've got to get your game in front of the right people at the right time. So you've got to have a strategy, some kind of plan to get the right people to learn about your game. And it's got to be something that doesn't depend on a storefront like Steam to drive the initial awareness. As Chris put it in our interview,
the promotion we do is just a match, but if we use that match in the right spot, we light the fuse and that detonates the Steam bomb.
Thank you, Chris. Now, there are 2 types of awareness funnels, paid and organic. I'm not going to talk paid since most indie devs don't have the money. And if you want to learn something about paid marketing, go listen to someone talk about Google ads or Facebook ads, right? With organic marketing, there are 2 paths to get awareness. Number 1, driving it yourself with social media, videos, and events. Or number 2, have others drive the awareness for you, like streamers, YouTubers, or publishers. You don't need to drive awareness yourself to get your game out there, but leaving this step to others drastically increases the risk of failure. I can spend hours talking about how to execute an awareness strategy, but I want to leave that for a following video since we're focused on more big picture. So this brings us to step 2. Once people are aware, how do you get people to care? First, you got to build something great, right? There's no way around it. There's no trickety trick. Marketing a game that's garbage does not work. This isn't the 80s where you can trick people into buying. We live in the information age. You can learn anything in the matter of moments. It's literally at the tips of our fingers. So what does that mean? Well, we've been told our whole lives, buyer beware, that we need to be on the look for some kind of tricksters. But really, in the past few decades, it's shifted to seller beware. Companies need to be cautious of what they do and say, because if they lie or they sell something bad, the world knows immediately and then the brand is tarnished. Always exceptions, but very rarely will a cash grab game find long-term success. Also, unlike the 80s, we have a time problem. Used to only have a few options for entertainment, but now we have millions of games, TV shows, and movies that compete for our time. You can't just make an okay movie, TV show, or game like the past and just market the crap out of it. You have to make something truly unique and eye-catching for it to stand out and take off. Games can't just be good anymore, they need to be great.
The algorithm is so freaking efficient at getting the right videos in front of the right people. Start an entirely new channel and just upload one banger video and immediately blow up and go viral. And you actually told me that's sort of what happened to you, so you're already one perfect example for that. Algorithm does what it's supposed to do, then it gets the stuff in front of the people that are interested in it. And I think Steam is not entirely comparable with YouTube in that regard, but I feel like it's moving in that direction. External marketing is less important and just making a great game and relying on the algorithm to get it in front of the people.
So engineers are more important than ever in regards to marketing. If the game sucks, marketing is going to suck. If the game is okay, the marketing will be okay. But if the game is amazing, the marketing can be amazing. Emphasis right on that can. The thing is, once you have built an amazing game, you still need to figure out how to get the right players to know about it and trust that it's going to be good. And for someone to truly care and consider buying that game, they need that trust. That's why indie studios struggle to be successful. You have no trust, or another way to say it, you have no brand. So how do you get trust or a brand when no one knows who you are? The answer? People. People can mean friends telling friends. It could mean influencers, game reviews, media companies, or publishers. But basically, humans look to other humans for validation. We want someone else to tell us that the game we are considering buying is the right choice, which in essence is what the Steam algorithm does. Chris explained it really well in our interview, and he said this.
Really just trying to reflect human behavior. Valve is just, their algorithm is just built to respond to that native behavior for whatever reason gamers have around their games. And so I think that Steam's just saying, well, hey, whenever there's this external chitter chatter, which is like streamers, festivals, all this stuff, that means a good signal's happening. So
now, there is an exception to what I'm saying, and these people are what we call early adopters. These guys don't need outside validation or people to trust. They're willing to buy games off a whim. You all know this person. Usually they're the buddy that joins every early access and tells you what games are good or not. That's why it infuriates me when people use early access as a testing ground for their game. This is the moment in which the early adopters are jumping in and testing your game out for the first time. It sets the stage, and if the launch is a buggy mess, you've lost your most important people. You've lost your sharers, which I'll address last after I discuss the buy stage. But before I move on, like the aware stage, there's just so much we need to unpack to truly understand the care stage. So again, I'll be doing that on a separate video, and we can cover all these pieces. But to quickly summarize, to get people to care, you need to make an amazing game that people will want to play while earning the trust of players through human validation. All right, people care. Now, how do you get people to buy? Well, this step is a little more mechanical, right? To get people that care about your game to buy is about aligning incentives and removing friction. This stage is very nuanced since you could be doing different types of models like free-to-play, advertising, or subscriptions. However, the key to getting players to buy is nailing these three things: price, platform, and play. And by play, I mean the gameplay, the playstyle, the art, etc. Right? I wanted to keep it as 3 Ps so it would sound good. Anyways, these 3 Ps are critical because if you mess up any of them, you'll sell a lot less copies. Now, price is the simplest to understand, and price theory dictates that there is a profit maximization point for any game. Knowing where it is a different matter, but basically somewhere on this demand curve is your price point. The best way I have found to nail the price of your game is a competitor analysis and a SWOT, which just stands for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Right? By doing these analyses, you can compare the features of your game to games similar to yours and then see how your prices compare. This should give a range for where you could price your game. There's an emotional element to pricing and there's other pieces, but we're going to just keep it simple for now. Platform is the next barrier. Where you publish your game has huge implications. People that own a Switch are very different demographic to those that play games on Steam, or very different to those that play on mobile. Every platform has some player crossover, but it's critical you understand what platform is best suited for your type of gameplay and playstyle.
I think the number one thing is you have to make the right type of game for Steam. There are games, no matter how, even if you know every single trick, every single backdoor to get extra visibility on your game, if you are making the wrong game, people just won't buy it. Like say, the most important marketing decision you have made is the moment you say, this is the type of game we're going to make, and these are the graphics it's going to have. After that, most of your marketing decisions have been made, and there's no going back.
Now this all brings us to play. The type of game you make, the art style, the music, everything that goes into how your game is set up has implications on the price, on the platform, and more broadly, if people will buy. Play is the most ethereal of the 3 Ps, and to really nail it, you need to understand the broader gaming market and its expectations. If you make a pixel game, the assumption is it will be cheaper, simpler, and most likely be published on Steam or itch. If you make a realistic shooter, the assumption is it will be more expensive, more complex, and most likely published on consoles and possibly on Steam. If you make a game like Flappy Bird, the assumption is it will be free with in-game ads, incredibly simple, and probably published on mobile. That's not to say you can't break these expectations and assumptions. It's what makes indies so special is that they're actually often changing the status quo. However, BattleBit is a prime example of someone thinking they can do something different and then failing because of it. When the dev team first released BattleBit for testing, the players hated it. Why? Because the art style didn't match the assumptive gameplay. The game's art style is blocky, so the assumption by most players was the gameplay would be more casual. As Liquid Horse put it in our interview,
the visuals of the game don't deliver what the game actually plays like.
Sure.
They don't really stand together. The game plays way more hardcore.
So once the devs learned this, they adjusted the play from hardcore to more casual as to better fit their target audience. And with that change, the game took off. So you need to understand that you can't change human behavior. You may find gaps in our current understanding of human behavior, but you won't change it. Games that go against the status quo take advantage of that gap. That's why games like Animal Well on paper should not succeed, but do because the developer understood, inadvertently or not, that there was demand for something different in this overly saturated genre of 2D pixel platformers. Combine that with Donkey's ability to drive awareness, a reasonable $25 price tag, and the correct platforms for publishing, you have a formula for success. And all this brings us to the final step: share. How to get others to share? Well, during the care phase, I talked about early adopters being pivotal for sharing, and I'll explain what I mean. You see, when people buy a game, one of three things happen. The game they buy is below their expectations, and they become disappointed. The game they buy meets their expectations, and they're probably satisfied. Or the game goes above expectations, and players are thrilled. You, of course, don't want to release something below people's expectations. That's how you get the AAA game revolt that is taking place right now. You know, these companies overpromise and then they underdeliver, which makes everyone angry because we feel lied to, and then we share our experiences to everyone we know, right? But it's also not good to just meet expectations as an indie developer. Nobody trusts you can make a good game because you have no name, right? You have no brand. If you make just an okay game, some early adopters will buy, some of them will share, but most will not. This is the nature of media and humans. We talk about games that are terrible or are incredible, not really in between. We write home about that amazing croissant with French cheese and smoked ham, but we're not gonna write home about the Mickey D's hamburger that we had at the airport. I know it sucks, but you don't get talked about for being normal. You get talked about for being on the edges of the spectrum. And so to jump across the gap from early adopters to the vast majority of players, you need to make something people will share, something that underpromises and just over-delivers. Think Among Us, Undertale, Stardew Valley, Helldivers, Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring, and so many more, right? Because once people were aware of these games, some people cared. Of those that cared, a few of them bought. When each of these games over-delivered, players then just shared. And once you get that sharing train going, everything just compounds tenfold, right? No amount of marketing you can do can compete with the wave generated by others, which then compounds even more because the Steam algorithm pushes it to more players. This right here, this is the key to marketing a game. Aware, care, buy, share, right? Sounds good. And if anyone thought this video would make their life easier, I'd argue it probably makes your life harder because you're realizing how difficult it is to make something amazing and market it, right? I'm trying to put this into place with our game, Fallen Worlds, and it's agonizing. Each stage takes effort. You'll make mistakes over and over, even when you know what you're doing. And one of the core reasons I started going indie, my main YouTube channel, was to help market Fallen Worlds, my game, not to mention potentially future games, right? But just because I have a YouTube channel with over 100,000 subs doesn't mean success, right? This doesn't guarantee success. All it means is I have a leg up on the awareness stage, and that's like the tip of the iceberg, right? Just the very top of this marketing iceberg. One more thing to really drive this home. Remember that most studios do not find success with their first game. It takes time and experience to build something great, and failure is such an important key in that process. Each game you make will build your brand and give you experience. And then one day, after a few small successes, you'll release a banger that becomes a global phenomenon. Right? Persistence in all of this is key. Strategy is great and can really help you, but it means nothing if you don't actually do the work. The winners in this world aren't the thinkers, but the doers. So if there's one takeaway from all this, just start building and make crap happen. So best of luck. See you next time.